sleep. I kind of chose this topic because I think it's something probably a lot of you can relate to. How many of you have trouble sleeping at night due to pain or discomfort? Yeah, that's what I thought. It's not uncommon for people with pain to have problems sleeping. So hopefully this presentation kind of gives you a bit of information on why that's happening, and maybe gives you a few tips on how to increase the quality of the sleep that you're getting every night. So what is sleep? So until 1950, most people thought sleep was a relatively passive activity, but we now know that our brains are very active during sleep. We spend approximately a third of our lives asleep. Sleep's important for our brains, and it allows our tissues to recover. And it also gives our body a chance to release a lot of important hormones. Sleep is a basic human need, so that means just like water and food, sleep is essential for our survival. Sleep is also important for immune function, so it keeps our body healthy and ready to fight off those infections and diseases. Sleep is also very important for mental health, and poor sleep can be related to things such as depression and anxiety. So how much sleep do we actually need? So I don't know if you can see, but this is just kind of a chart explaining how much sleep you need just as you go throughout the life cycle. So as you can see, kind of infants and newborns, they need the most amount of sleep, so almost around 12 to 15 hours. And then kind of as you progress into young adulthood and adulthood, you need around 7 to 9 hours of sleep. The reason that range is there is just because some people might only need 7 hours of sleep, some people might need the 9. It's just kind of based on if you're sleeping only 7 hours and you're feeling, unproductive and tired the next day, then you might be somebody who needs a bit more sleep. So how sleep works. So sleep is regulated by our circadian rhythms, which is our internal biological clock. The biological clock responds to light in our environment, and the biological clock is controlled by groups of cells in the brain. So from our eye, light travels to our brain, and it tells the brain whether it should be awake or not. And cells in the brain also signal other parts of the brain which release hormones, such as melatonin, when there is very little light traveling from the eye to the brain. So melatonin is a hormone which causes us to feel sleepy, and the concentration of melatonin slowly rises after dark and increases throughout the night. The brain also sends signals to other parts of the body which control body temperature. So as we sleep, our body temperature naturally decreases, and our body temperature increases in the morning when we wake up. Our heart rate and blood pressure also decrease naturally when we are asleep, and they naturally rise again when we wake back up. So the stages of sleep. So during sleep, we pass through different stages of sleep. So there are 4 stages of sleep, which are divided into non-REM and REM sleep. So what REM stands for is rapid eye movement sleep. So stage 1, 2, 3, and 4 are non-REM sleep, and then REM sleep is the final stage. So each of these stages corresponds to a different level of electric activity in the brain and changes in the body. So as we sleep, we pass through these stages in order. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then REM. And we are continuously repeat the cycle throughout the night. So stages 1 through REM take around 70 to 90 minutes to complete from start to finish. So stage 1 is the beginning of the sleep cycle, and it's a relatively light stage of sleep. So if you were to be awoken during the stage, you might not even say that you were sleeping. Stage 1 produces high frequency, low amplitude theta waves, and this stage lasts only around 5 to 10 minutes. During stage 2, the brain begins to produce random bursts of electrical activity, known as sleep spindles. And during this stage, heart rate and body temperature also begin to decrease. And then stage 3 and 4 get into low frequency, high amplitude brain waves, known as delta waves. This is the deepest and most stage of sleep, when tissue growth and repair occurs, energy is restored, and hormones are released. During this stage, our body also becomes unresponsive to most other types of stimuli. And then REM sleep. So REM sleep, like I said before, stands for rapid eye movement sleep, and it's just called that because underneath your eyelids, your eyes will actually be darting back and forth during this type of sleep. It only takes up about 25% of the night, and it occurs roughly 70 minutes after you first fall asleep and lasts for about 5 minutes. So it provides the energy to the brain and body and supports daytime performance. The brain is very active during this stage, and this is often the stage when dreaming occurs. So the body also becomes immobile during this stage, or paralyzed, and that's just to kind of protect us from acting out our dreams while we sleep. And REM sleep is very important. It's essential for survival. Studies in rats who've been deprived of REM sleep often die within 4 weeks. So this is just the electrical activity in the brain during different sleep stages. So this is kind of when you're awake. This is what the electrical activity in your brain looks like. And then as you can see, stage 1, stage 2, it gets a bit slower. And then this is stage 3 and 4. Those deep, restful, restorative stages of sleep. You can see it's very low frequency, high amplitude waves. And then this is a REM stage. You can see it's very low amplitude, high frequency waves. And you can see kind of how REM and wakefulness are almost similar kind of brain activities. So that's just telling us that during that REM stage, our brain is very active. So sleep deprivation and sleep debt. So each night we do not get the recommended amount of sleep. We accumulate something called sleep debt. And how it works that if we do not get the recommended amount of hours of sleep each night, these hours need to be repaid or made up on another night. So the greater the sleep debt, the less capable we are of recognizing it. We may even forget what it feels like to be fully rested. It has also been shown that getting a week of not getting enough sleep cannot be repaid simply by sleeping in on the weekends. So as sleep debt increases, it puts us at an increased risk of health conditions such as weight gain, diabetes, and stroke. So sleep deprivation also affects decision making and reaction time, and puts us at an increased risk of being involved in accidents. So when we do not get enough sleep one night, we experience something called the REM rebound, and what that is just an increase in REM sleep the following night. So if you do not get enough sleep one night, the body makes up for it by increasing REM sleep the following night. So this means that you will move through the other stages of sleep faster, and you'll likely experience more intense and frequent dreams. So now sleep and pain. So sleep and pain can often form a vicious cycle because pain affects your ability to sleep, and improper sleep increases your pain levels. So any painful condition will affect sleep and mood and behavior, and chronic pain and insomnia are health problems which impact quality of life and productivity. Nighttime pain makes it more difficult to fall asleep and promotes more awakenings during night or in the early morning. Animal studies have shown that pain stimulation during sleep increases the amount of light sleep and decreases slow wave sleep and REM sleep. This is a problem because those slow wave and REM stages are where our body repairs itself and what makes us feel refreshed the next day. And several studies have shown that a night of bad sleep can increase pain intensity in the several days following. So like I said, studies have shown that sleep quality affects the levels of pain the following days, and impaired sleep quality has been shown to increase pain sensitivity. So what type of sleep is responsible for the increased pain tolerance? Or decreased pain tolerance? Is it REM sleep or is it non-REM sleep? So let's just take a look at what some research says. So in this first study, they looked at the effects of total sleep deprivation, so no sleep at all during the night, slow wave sleep disruption, or reduced amounts of deep sleep, and REM sleep disruption on the effects that it would have on pain tolerance. The study also looked at the effects that a night of normal, undisturbed sleep would have on pain tolerance. What the study found was that total sleep deprivation decreased mechanical pain thresholds the most. Mechanical pain is a type of pain caused by the application of pressure, and both slow wave sleep and REM disruption sleep also reduce pain tolerance, but not as much as the night of total sleep deprivation. Another interesting result of the study was that recovery sleep significantly increased pain tolerance by up to 15%. This increase in pain tolerance was similar to the increase the pain tolerance that a level 1 painkiller such as aspirin or ibuprofen would produce. So what this is saying is that a good night's sleep can often be as effective as painkillers at increasing your pain tolerance. So the next study looked at the effects of total sleep deprivation and REM sleep deprivation on pain tolerance levels. And the results indicated that only total sleep deprivation significantly altered pain perception thresholds, and undisturbed sleep recovery after a total night of sleep deprivation increased pain tolerance to a greater extent than undisturbed sleep following REM sleep deprivation. And then the last study just looked at modest reductions in sleep time, specifically REM sleep time, and they increased thermal pain sensitivity. So this study looked at thermal pain sensitivity, which is sensitivity to heat and cold. And the study also found that sleep loss effects are cumulative over time. So a cumulative sleep loss is related to decreased pain tolerance. So I know that was a lot of information. So basically what these studies are saying is that non-REM sleep and REM sleep may affect a different type of pain receptors in our body. So in our body we have different type of receptors for different types of stimuli. We have different type of receptors for hot and cold, different ones for pain and pressure, and these sensors are located at different areas. So some are located in the skin, some are located in the muscles and tendons, and it's been suggested that each of these types of sleep may affect a different type of pain. So what these studies have shown kind of is that slow wave sleep may have a greater effect on mechanical pain, and mechanical pain sensors have been shown to have a greater concentration in muscles and tendons, which may be more significant to individuals suffering from injuries. And what these studies have also kind of shown is that a good night's sleep can be very effective at reducing the pain levels that you're experiencing the next day. So how sleep affects pain. So it's well known that dopamine, which is a neurotransmitter, is fundamental in sleep-wake regulation. So a neurotransmitter is just basically something that carries messages between cells, carries messages from one cell to another in the body. And it's been suggested that pain sensitivity may alter the signaling of dopamine, which negatively affects sleep quality. And studies have also shown that painful stimuli can cause microarousals during sleep. So what this means is that people who experience some pain spend shorter amounts of time in slow-wave delta sleep, which has been shown to reduce pain, and more time in high-frequency level sleeps. What this means is that if you're suffering from pain, which persists over long periods of time, you may be experiencing microarousals and not even know about it, and so you might not even be aware that you're not getting the deep restful sleep that your body needs. And pain has also been shown to cause kind of similar awakenings over light, deep, and REM stages of sleep. So although the body becomes less responsive to other types of stimuli during sleep, the body remains sensitive to pain, likely as a self-protective mechanism. And painful stimuli has been shown to provoke up to 3 times more awakenings during deep sleep than sound or touch-based stimulations. So chronic pain is any type of pain which persists over long periods of time, and a variety of sleep abnormalities have been associated with chronic pain. So what they include is a delayed onset of sleep, so it often takes people who are dealing with pain longer to fall asleep. Increase in stage 1 duration, so this means that they have longer amounts of light sleep and less deep sleep. And these abnormalities appear to be similar to experimental studies of healthy subjects in which sleep disruption altered pain sensitivity. So they also have more frequent body movements during sleep, often caused by having to change positions and due to discomfort. And fragmentation of sleep. So they have more frequent brief arousals, which often accompanied by increased cardiac activity. And so our heart rate naturally needs to slow down in order for us to sleep. And during sleep, heart rate and blood pressure naturally decrease. So it's been suggested that chronic pain may also be related to functional changes to the cells which control pain and arousal. So those cells that control pain, so as those cells that control pain become more sensitive, the cells which control arousal also become more sensitive, and it can make it harder for us to fall asleep. So why does lack of sleep increase pain? There's no one kind of straight answer to what this is. There's a number of proposed theories to explain this though. The first is that opioids. So these are an opiate-like substance kind of like endorphin, which is produced by our bodies. And opioids are neurotransmitters, so they carry messages between cells in the body. And opioids carry messages that make us feel good and reduce pain. So sleep deprivation may result in a decreased amount of these opioids being produced and a decreased amount of receptor sites for these opioids to bind to. And it has also been suggested that the production and action of these opioids are dependent on undisturbed sleep. So REM sleep deprivation has also been shown to deplete levels of serotonin, which is another neurotransmitter, in the brainstem. So research has found that the cells that depend on serotonin to function in the brainstem actually inhibit pain signals from traveling up to the brain. And reductions in serotonin could alter their functioning and possibly increase pain levels. Another explanation is that some of the brain structures involved in the generation and maintenance of sleep are also involved in pain modulation. And it could be that sleep deprivation could alter these areas, causing the brain to increase pain. Sleep deprivation also impacts the immune system, and it increases inflammation and activates responses similar to an injury. So this inflammatory response, which occurs following a night of sleep deprivation, is another possible explanation for increased pain levels. And then finally, mental status and mood are also affected by sleep deprivation. So sleep deprivation can cause depression and negative moods have been shown to be related to higher pain reports. So I just also kind of threw in here some research about how sleep affects tissue recovery. So sleep may be important for injury recovery for a number of reasons. One is that because protein synthesis occurs as we sleep, and that just means that that's when our body builds new tissue. It's also when cell division occurs and growth hormone is released. So sleep deprivation may have a number of negative effects on wound healing. They include a decreased secretion of that growth hormone, activation of the sympathetic nervous system, which is essentially kind of the body's danger response system. So due to ethical reasons and most likely lack of volunteers, I couldn't find many studies which are related to sleep deprivation and tissue recovery in humans. However, I did find a few which were performed in animal studies, so mostly on rats. So the first study I found, they made minor puncture wounds on the rats, and the rats were split into groups of REM sleep deprived rats and then regular sleep rats. And after 5 days of sleep deprivation, there were no differences in the rates of healing. And animal studies have also shown that sleep deprivation does not cause does not influence cellular or biochemical markers of tissue repair. Then the second study I found, 8 hours of sleep deprivation has been shown to increase the molecular markers of muscle repair, which means that the muscles may not be able to contract properly. So sleep may also be really important to repair injured muscle tissue and rebuild your muscles after a day of exercise. Research has also shown that sleep deprivation decreases muscle mass in sleep-deprived rats. And this is just due to an increase of hormones which break down muscle and decreased reduction in hormones which build up muscles. So basically what this research is saying is it's kind of split on the topic. So studies in rats found no difference in surface tissue healing, while some other studies did find that sleep deprivation did impact the muscle's ability to recover. So what are some treatments for people with pain for sleep? So it's always better to rely on your natural sleep rhythms as much as possible rather than medication and painkillers. Patients with chronic pain are often prescribed analgesics at night or sedative pain medication. Sleep aids should ideally only be used for temporary relief. Many pain medications commonly prescribed reduce both pain and have a sedative effect. So it's difficult to determine if the reductions in sleep are due to decreased pain or the sedative effects of these medications. Cognitive behavioral therapy has also been shown to be effective at helping. And the two most commonly used are stimulus control and sleep restriction therapy. So stimulus control just kind of involves breaking the association between the bedroom environment and states of arousal. So it's basically patients learn to reestablish their bedroom's cues in their bedroom as cues for sleep rather than cues for which promote pain and anxiety. And then sleep restriction therapy. It's a controlled form of sleep deprivation. So the sleeper sets a bedtime and wake time and sticks to those times closely. The time allocated in bed depends on how long the sleeper has been sleeping. So if someone routinely spends 8 hours in bed but actually only sleeps 6 of those hours, then the time is initially set at 6 hours. And the goal of this therapy is to have the sleeper sleeping the entire time they're in bed. The patient must not go to bed early or wake up late, and the goal, like I said before, is for the patient to be sleeping the whole time that they're in bed. And after a while, as they get used to this, they can gradually start increasing the time to get back up to that recommended amount of sleep. So these are just sleep hygiene tips. They're kind of tips just for everyday people, but they're also useful if you're suffering from pain as well. So stick to a sleep schedule. So go to bed at the same time on weekdays and weekends. I know it's kind of hard for some people. I know myself. It's hard to follow that rule sometimes. But this just reinforces your body sleep-wake cycle. And if you cannot get to sleep within a half an hour of lying in bed, go to another room and do a relaxing activity. This reduces the tendency to become frustrated that you're not sleeping. And if you can't sleep, try to avoid using your phone or watching TV, as the light from these devices makes our body think it should be awake. Also, make sure you're paying attention to what you eat and drink before bed. Don't go to bed hungry, but also try to avoid eating large amounts of food before you go to bed. Also try to avoid eating or drinking large amounts of fluids, because these can cause more frequent trips to the bathroom during the night. Caffeine and nicotine also have stimulating effects, and they can remain in your body for hours. So just watch out for how long or when you're drinking those during the day. And then create a bedtime ritual. So have a relaxing activity or routine which you follow before you go to bed. And like I said before, try to avoid TV or phones, as the light from these devices can interfere with sleep patterns. Create a room that's ideal for sleeping. This means making sure that your room is not too hot or too cold. It's harder for the body to fall asleep in a hot room because our body temperature does need to naturally decrease as we sleep. Make sure your room is dark, free from noise. Using white noise, like a fan, can often help block out some of those other disruptive noises. And you should also try to learn to associate your room and bed with sleep and not much else. So this means trying not, if you have a TV in your room, try not to watch too much TV before you go to bed, or not even having a TV in your room. And also try to limit napping. Long daytime naps can interfere with nighttime sleep. If you do need to nap, try to keep it to only 10 to 30 minutes, as this prevents your body from going into those deeper stages of sleep, and then you won't feel so tired when you do wake up. And then include regular physical activity into your daily routine. This just makes it easier for us to fall asleep quicker and easier to get into those deeper stages of sleep. And then finally, sleeping posture can also be important if you do have injuries. For back pain, making sure that you don't have too soft of a mattress, making sure you have a nice firm mattress. Sleeping with your legs up at a 90-degree angle, and using heat packs can also help. And then if you're suffering from knee pain, sleeping with a pillow between your knees can also help take some of the pressure off those knees. Questions about that? Any questions?
I saw an interesting documentary probably about a year ago. I think it was one of those CBC documentary, Doc Zones or something. It was about sleep. And even things like the color of your night lights. So it's the blue-white that's very similar to the sun. And so I've noticed a lot of the night lights nowadays are that blue glow or kind of a white look. So it's really about making sure that you've got a red light.
Yeah.
Or something that's not that white blue. So if you've got night lights around the house, it might still be enough to kind of keep that brain from producing the melatonin it needs to go to sleep. So.
Yeah, and that's also the same as your phone, and
Yep.
the TV produces that blue light, so that's why I try to avoid those before you go to bed as much as you can. Any questions?
The other interesting thing is if you're a shift worker, that also kind of messes up your your circadian
Yeah,
rhythm
circadian
and,
rhythm.
kind of when you produce melatonin and things like that. So I think it can be harder for people that, do shift work or, you know, especially if they have to work into the night, like a night shift for a nurse or something like that, so.
Yeah, for sure.
That's when I got my best sleep.
Is when you were working shift?
Yeah.
Same here.
I get off in the morning and, when the sun's coming up, I got a hard time driving home, and I'm home till 1, 2:30.
But I think some people, when they do something that's regular, like if you always work that shift, then your body changes to that. It's the people that alternate, sometimes they do days, sometimes they do nights, that really messes them up because their brain doesn't know which way they're going. But yeah, if you're regularly, you just do one type of shift, then it's usually easier.
Well, hours was mixed, 2 and 2, most of the time, 2 12-hour days and 2 12-hour nights. And, yeah, I could sleep during the day. And good sleep, like, not restless or nothing, it was just.
Else? All right, well, that's everything. Hope you guys learned some stuff, enjoyed it. Hopefully you'll be sleeping better.
Thank you.
Yeah.